I've been watching a lot of Joe Rogan clips. Uh, Different interviews. Lately, it's been a lot of Chuck Palahniuk clips, the Fight Club writer, and it's fascinating because the guy is really interesting. Um, I guess he calls himself a writer of transgressive fiction. Just pushing the boundaries, like weird, awful situations that are also funny, absurd, surrealistic, that kind of thing. And the different clips talked about things like the murder of his father, which is really something else. Um, an anecdote that a lady came up to him one day and told him after he had read this crazy story of his that really freaked a lot of people out. This woman came up to him and told him a story of how a heating bottle between her legs at 7, and sort of everything that came from her experience with that. So it's just fascinating to watch him talk and the conversations he and Rogan were having. Because it's like I was thinking about lately. I've been thinking about this a lot, of course. I say of course, but I've been thinking a lot about superhero comics, geek fiction, and properties, and how they've all been derailed over the years by feminists, trans activists, SJWs. And it's like none of these writers, the main writers in superhero comics right now, the Vita Ayalas and Danny Lores, or just most of them, they're not going to be talking about their work the way that Palahniuk talks about his and talks about other works, and the way that, he talks about engaging with the reader and what his writing, what he intends to bring out of readers, like the story, like his weird story, bringing out this anecdote that this woman told about her, this heating bottle or whatever, how she probably never told anybody that before. And this crazy story, I might link a couple of the clips, in the description box. But so I was thinking, there's a clip in particular. He was talking about the impact of Fight Club when that came out, and I just thought it was fascinating how it kind of crystallized somewhat. This is not one-to-one comparison, right? Fight Club and the way people reacted to that, it's not quite like superhero comics, but in a way it felt like, Fight Club is for men, right? And it's gotten this really terrible reputation, and it's had it since it came out, in the film in particular. People hate it, and I've always remembered people. You may hear kids screaming or a dog barking. I've tried to, I haven't been able to record the past few days because it just would not shut up. But at this point, at a certain point, you just got to do what you got to do. But anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so anyway, it's interesting how, like, you look on Tumblr and Twitter. I remember over the years on Tumblr and Twitter, people would constantly complain about, oh, Fight Club. It's, if somebody likes Fight Club, it's, a red flag. And basically the person is an incel. The person's going to be, somebody you got to watch out for. He's going to, do something horrible. And they love to repeat. And fuck David Fincher for this, for real. But they love to repeat that story where at some panel he was like, his daughter was going to date this guy who said that Fight Club was like his favorite film. And Fincher was like, and Fincher's the fucking director. And Fincher goes, yeah, never date that guy. I never talk to that guy again. It's like, fuck you, dude. You know the movie you made. And what is this thing that people who are on the outside, who are not smart, who don't care about this stuff, who don't take the time to look into it, what is it about that where they get to decide and set the narrative for people who actually love and appreciate this stuff? So this is what I mean. Like, the parallels for Fight Club and superheroes are not one-to-one, but certainly the reaction that people have to it, and it's like purest form, like for superheroes, this idea that it's like these male power fantasies that somehow meant to hurt others, as opposed to, just taking it at face value. People want to see, like, young men, period, enjoy seeing cool superheroes doing cool things and be inspired to think that, hey, I can do good for the world as well. But no, they always turn it into Tony Stark's the billionaire. I hate billionaires in real life. We've got to take his money from him. We've got to have characters constantly yelling at him for being a white privileged a-hole, asshole, you know. And the writers you have today, Vida Ayala's, and your boy Zach was talking about this woman, was it Nadia Shamas, and she just had a book, X-Force Annual, come out. She's somebody, I don't know where she came from, but it looks like maybe Vida, somebody, brought her into comics. And so she's getting work as a comic book writer, writing superhero comics. She's a feminist. She's an SJW. They hate men, by and large, particularly these like social media activist versions of these, like feminists or whatever. They don't understand or care about superhero comics. They don't care about the dynamics of it. They don't understand it. And they're allowed to just put this out. And the people who are supposedly so excited about it, you know, they're not paying for it. They're not buying it. They're probably, some of them might be, pirating it. They might be downloading it illegally. But even then, they're probably not reading all of it. They just like the fact that it exists because it's taking something away from men. And it is weird how. And I'm not MGTOW. I'm not red-pilled at all. I'm going to talk about that later with another rabbit hole I've been going down to in another video. But I don't hate women or dislike women at all. I love them, in fact. But there are spaces, and I don't mean safe spaces, but there are spaces and areas and genres that are meant to appeal to men. And if women come along, that's fine. But they don't get to decide that there's not enough representation for them. They don't get to decide that Power Girl isn't dressed appropriately. It's like I was the director, I think the director of the Yakuza games. And someone asked him, basically what was the secret to the success of Yakuza with women or girls? And it was like, do you try to tailor the stories for them? And he was like, no, it's for boys. Women girls can come along and enjoy it. And probably the main reason why it's so successful for them, because they're getting to see something that they don't see when they read their stuff or play their games or whatever. They get to see something that doesn't pander to them, doesn't try to appease them. There's nothing wrong with being curious. There's nothing wrong with seeing something that's not really for you. But trying to impose your will on it and pretend that what's not even for you should be for you. And if it's not, then it's something wrong. Like, in other words, if it's for boys or for men, that's not an evil thing. But, feminists, activists have created this narrative. They created this narrative where if it's for men and men enjoy it, then it's bad. Automatically it's bad. Like, anything that appeases men is bad because they have too much power, I guess. A bunch of nerds and geeks sitting around reading comic books, but they have too much power. They have too much privilege. Everything is done for them. We're slaving away, taking care of their babies and cleaning up behind them and trying to be independent women. But men are the problem because they like Batman. Men are the problem because they like Superman. Like, something is wrong with these characters. So I thought it was interesting, like I said. I'm going to play the clip now.
When you wrote Fight Club, you tapped into something that it was really fascinating for me as someone who's been involved in martial arts my whole life, and I've understood the cathartic release of violence, but I never saw it articulated the way you did, and you made it enticing for a thinking person. You made it like you sort of opened up these doors of understanding for someone who maybe had frustration or had some pent up rage or had some angst that just was not going to get out any other way. And then you wrote about it. And then when you wrote, reading what you wrote, it made you go, yeah, okay, oh, all right. Now it's like you added an element to it that really didn't exist before in pop culture. It was really fascinating for me as someone who's watching that whole thing unfurl and watching people get like really resonating with people, watching people really getting excited about your work. It's like, oh, he hit some nerve that nobody really hit before.
And it's not a nerve that gets hit very much, and there's so many different aspects to it. And one is just, my classic thing is that there are so few social model novels or stories for men. For women, there are, every season. There's a new Joy Luck Club, a new How to Make an American Quilt, a new Traveling Sisterhood of the Yayaha Pants, whatever. Just all these different models in which women can come together and talk about their lives. And if you're a man, you've got either Fight Club or you have the Dead Poet Society. And that is really it. So we don't have a lot of narratives that depict to men a role or a kind of script of, in which to come together and talk about their shed. Another thing is Jordan Peterson. Back to Jordan Peterson. He talks about that need for really rough play. And he talks about it a lot.
So yeah, it's not 1-to-1, but there's definitely parallels that I see, at least with the reactions that people have towards Fight Club and towards superhero comics. And I think it's interesting that the hatred for Fight Club is a complete misunderstanding. SJWs are not smart. They're expressly stupid. Feminist activists, a lot of activists are idiots. They don't know what they're complaining about when they get involved in like this cultural stuff. So they complain about Fight Club, and like I said, they think, and I've seen before it was kicked off Twitter, I was starting to see people say, once people were pointing out, hey, stupid, this is what Fight Club is about. It's satire, and people are aware of what's going on. They're not stupid. They started saying, yeah, but the problem with Fight Club is other people don't understand. It's like, no, motherfucker, you don't understand. We know exactly, I say we, but a lot of men know exactly what Fight Club's all about. And even though there's satire in it, they still do appreciate, like the scene with the where Tyler's got the gun on the convenience store worker, and he tells him, like, if I'm gonna come back in a month or so, and if you're not on your way to being a vet, I'm gonna kill you. His sacrifices. That's stuff that people resonate with. Men resonate with shit like that, and there is nothing wrong with men having art, entertainment, and fiction just geared to them, because men are not just like women, and giving men what they want has nothing to do with some stupid bitch complaining about some rich white guy or rape culture or whatever. It's like, the thing that I hate about SJWs is how they always go to the worst case scenario for anything. And this is why I always say, you can't let people like that who have mental health problems set standards and practices for everyone else, because they're overly sensitive to any little thing. If a guy says, I enjoy this is great, immediately, oh no, he's a horrible incel. He's going to step on women. Literally, there were stories on Tumblr and Twitter where women would complain about Fight Club because the guy they were dating in college forced them to watch it. It's like the guy's trying to share something with you that they find important, and a lot of people just not articulate. They're not writers, but they're trying to show you a part of themselves. And you've got this idiot sitting there watching it going, I don't like this. I don't know what this is about. Look, I have a personal experience with it. I was seeing this girl one time, and she was showing me all her little romance rom-coms, and they were horrible for the most part. And I would show her some of the films that I like. I like all kinds of shit. The one film she absolutely did not like and didn't want to finish was Fight Club. And, I'm not dating her now, but that's not why. But it was just like, yeah, this is not really for women. Anybody could appreciate it. It's not like if you don't have a dick, you're not going to get something out of it. But it's one of those things where it will appeal more to men than women. It just seems like it will, because especially with the way in which women online attack men for liking it, or they just attack the movie. And like I said, Fincher's stupid ass didn't help with his stupid bullshit story about never date Max again, or whatever the guy's name was who said that was his favorite film. It's an excellently made film, great acting, great story, great like technique, and yeah, that's in my top 10. Fight Club's in my top 10 all times. And I watch all kinds of films. I watch films from all over the world, from all types of years, and it's right up there. You know, it's on the top of the food chain for me. But I won't talk too much more about this. I thought it was just interesting that, you know, when I watched that clip, I thought, yeah, that's what it is. The problem is there are not enough art and entertainment geared to men. Women think that there are, act like, oh yeah, you know, all these years that we've had stories, the woman was just a damsel in distress. But a lot of times it's just popular entertainment that will just include women, and a lot of these people just don't know, you know, they don't care. They're just writing a story, and it's just typical. The man's going to be the lead, and they'll have a woman who's in trouble, and they're just telling a story. But with comic books, superhero comic books in particular, and Fight Club in particular, it was made for men. They connect to it in a way that women won't. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it's just, you know, it sucks in this day and age that so many superhero comics and X-Men comics are being written by people who, they may be gay, so they may have like some connection with being an outsider, but they do not have the skills, the mindset, or the care to write superhero comics. You have somebody like Leah Williams doing an interview recently saying that Omega level mutants, that doesn't mean anything to a writer. That's just something that fans, you know, like, you know, and care about on trading cards, but for writers it's something else. And no, it's not writers, it's something different. It's, if you're lazy, if you don't care about this shit, then of course you're not going to pay attention to Omega level mutants. You're not going to care about their power levels. You're not going to write around these things. You know, none of that stuff is going to inform your work. It's not going to be about, you know, the adventure. It's going to be about people sitting around doing nothing, talking about bullshit. Captain Marvel is supposed to be the most popular hero in the Marvel Universe, according to Marvel. She's supposed to be a feminist icon. And you see her stupid series is about her fighting a cat demon every couple of pages. And I got that from watching Perch the other day. Fighting this stupid cat demon with snake body. And they're making cat piss jokes. And then they're just going on a road trip for no reason. Sitting around talking about pancakes and new normal to eat more pancakes. All this stupid shit that does not appeal to men and boys who read superhero comics. And it's gone beyond comics. You know, you see it in video games. I mean, I'm going to talk about Horizon Forbidden West. I've completed that game, so there's definitely issues that I have with it story-wise. It has a female lead, but it's an adventure story that should appeal to men more than anything. And it's written as if it's a young adult novel. But we'll get into that in another video. Take care. Thanks for watching.